Hello, students. Welcome to the online class once more. So, till now, we have been doing our classes through voice, that means the voice classes, and from now onwards, we will have video classes. Your exams are over by now, I'm sure about it, that you must have done well. Okay, so it's over, and again, we have to resume from there where we left before examination. So, do you remember where we left? Yes, it was The Brook by Alfred Lord Tennyson. And if you remember, we were supposed to complete the last three stanzas of the poem. So, I'm reading out those lines, and that will be followed by explanation. So, uh, it goes like this. I sleep, I slide, I gloom, I glance among my scheming swallows. I make the netted sunbeam dance against my sandy shallows. Okay, the pronunciation is very important. Sandy shallows. Okay, and the first line I sleep, I slide, I gloom, I glance. When you hear these words, I think mm, what comes to your mind is about figure of speech, I think. So, do you remember such sounds when you have the same vowel sound and the same consonant in the beginning? Slip, slide, gloom, glance. Okay, so this is an example of alliteration. So, before explanation, let me clear it up that this is an example of alliteration. Sleep, slide, S, S. Okay, then gloom, glide. Sir, sir in the first two words, sleep, slide, sir, sir. Then gloom, glance. G, g, end. The letters are G and G. So this is an example of alliteration. I sleep. Now, who is the narrator? Do you remember the narrator? The narrator of the poem is not the poet, but a brook. Okay, the brook keeps on telling its life. Okay, how it starts and ends up joining the brimming river. So I sleep, I slide, I gloom, I glance. These are the movements of the brook. I sleep. I sleep means I sleep down. I sleep down from the higher place to the lower ones. I slide. I slide by the side of the valleys and hills. I gloom. Now, this is important. Gloom. Gloom, the word, means darkness. Now, when the river, I mean the brook, moves on, it also moves by the side of hills and valleys. And the shadow of the hills and valleys create darkness. So that is where it finds itself moving through gloomy path. Okay, I gloom, I glance. Now glance. Glance means to look. I look forward. I look forward towards my destination. Right. So the first line itself is, uh, you know, symbolically packed with meanings. Right. I sleep down from the higher places to the lower ones. I slide by the sides of the hills and valleys. I move through the shadowy, sides of the valleys and hills, and I glance. I look forward to my destination. Right. Then among my scheming swallows. Now, swallow. What is a swallow? Swallow is a bird. It is a bird. Skimming. Now, what is skimming? Skimming again is a movement. When a bird comes down in a speed and moves up, just touching the river surface or the surface water of the brook. Right? That is skimming. That movement is uh, called skimming. Sometimes the birds also skim in the air itself. You know, they don't have to come down and touch the ground. They skim. That means they move downward in a very fast manner and then moves upward. That is skimming. So here we find that the brook says that birds like swallow come down to touch me, to touch the surface of the water of the brook and moves up again. That is skimming. I make the netted sunbeam dance. This is a beautiful piece of image. Now, see, students, image is another literary device. So, when words create pictures, that is image. Now, this is a beautiful piece of image. Why? You see, naked sunbeam dance. This is the sunbeam is being shown as dancing. Where on the netted brook, that means the bed of the river. This is a very complicated image, right? Now, see, when the water goes on flowing, it has some sort of, you know, shadows, shadow of the water itself. In that way, you have to understand that the shadows of the waves, and when they fall down there on the bed of the brook, that means when the shadow falls on the bed of the brook, in fact, the sunbeams also move to the water, and this shadow seems to move because of the movement of the water. This is the image. This is a very complicated and difficult image to understand. So the water of the brook creates some sort of shadows, and this shadow falls on the bed of the brook, and the sun means that moves through the water seem to dance. This is a beautiful image. So against my sandy shallows, I was talking about the bed of the brook, sandy shallows. This is possible only there where there is sand. Okay, and shallow when the water is not that much there above the sand. Okay, so there you can find this image, and I like this line very much because of the complicated image and the imagination of the poet, right? So this is a beautiful stanza. It talks about the movement of the river as well as skimming of the bird and then formation of naked sunbeam that seems to dance. So this is very difficult. Why? Because we don't understand by sunbeams dancing somewhere. This is difficult, but it is possible because this is what we find when there is water above the sand and some sort of shadows formed on the bed of the brook. Then it seems as if it dances because of the movement of the water. Right. This is what is meant by this dancing sunbeam. Okay, dancing sunbeam. It really is a beautiful image. Then next stanza. Let us move to the next stanza. A murmur under the moon and stars. In Bramble Wilderness, I linger by my shingly bars. I loiter around my creases. I murmur. Now, murmur is a sound. Now, this murmuring does not have any meaning. If I speak some words that is not clearly heard by others, that is murmuring. Okay, so I murmur. That means the sound made by the flow of the water of the brook. I murmur. Sometimes I make sound. Under the moon, that means the brook talks about nighttime. Okay, under the moon. Okay, there is moonlight everywhere, and there is silence, and the water of the brook flows with a very beautiful sound. And sometimes we relate such sounds with music. You know, this is the natural music. I murmur under the moon and stars. In Bramble Wilderness. Now, what is Bramble? Okay, it's given there. Bramble means thorny shrub. Shrubs are small plants. Thorny, thorns. Okay, so you must have seen sometimes um, a group of small plants having thorns. And when the brook passes through such shrubs, a sound is produced. Maybe because of the obstacles on its way, like pebbles. Pebbles mean small stones, maybe the leaves of the shrubs, so it says that I flow on through the thorny shrubs. Okay, I linger by my shingly bars. Now, shingly, it's given here. Shingly means accumulated mass of small pebbles. I told you, pebbles are small stones. When these stones are gathered, that is shingly. Okay, okay, and this is an obstacle on the way of the brook. So, um, when there is the flow of the brook and it is stopped, maybe hindered, okay, by an accumulation of pebbles, it produces sounds. Okay, it produces sounds. Um, you must have seen river roaring. River roaring. Now, why does a river roar? Because of the obstacles, because of the you know big stones. You must have seen the river. I mean, Brahmaputra. You don't hear any sound there because there's no obstacle. It moves, it flows in a very smoother manner, right? But if you have stones and big obstacles, then there will be sounds. Okay, so this accumulation of pebbles create a sound. Okay, I loiter round my crassus. The crassus are small watery plants, right? And I loiter, see, loiter is something that shows the purposelessness of the brook. Yes, we have seen that there is a purpose that is being said by the brook, that it goes and joins the brimming river. That is the purpose. But during this small course of flow, uh, it loiters. I loiter, I move without any purpose. But I loiter around my creases. Huh? The small plants that grow in the bed, I should say, on the bed of the brook. where the water is very shallow, right? There you may see watery plants, and I loiter, I move around. Okay, sometimes it also moves round and round, in a cyclonic manner. Okay, you must have seen cyclone moving around and around. In that way, in a cyclonic manner, the water of the brook moves. Okay, so here also we find the movement of the brook. Now we come to the last stanza of the poem. And out again I curve and flow. Out again I curve and flow. Now see, the brook says that it had been moving on and on. I mean to say, it moves on and on through narrow path. Now it moves out. It moves out. And out again I curve. I make a direction in in a curving way. Okay, manner. The manner is moving out to join and flow to join the brimming river. Brimming river we had in our last class we discussed brimming river, a river full of water. Okay, now see, this is how the water bodies get changed. That means the formation, they attain different formations. Brook joins the river joins the sea or ocean. Okay, so in that way, I move out from these narrow paths in a curved manner and flow on to join the brimming river. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. This is the philosophy I told you before. For men may come and men may go. Men are born to die only. Once a human being is born, one must die. Okay, he must die. So man may come and man may go. That is a very temporary stay on this earth. Okay, as you and me all have to do, have to go in the same way. So we have come and we must go. But the brook keeps on going forever. Okay, that is the permanency of the brook. Okay, so this is the philosophy. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. Okay. Again, this is also an example of refrain. You must have understood by now what is a refrain. In our last classes, two classes in fact, I told you also why it is a refrain. For man may come and man may go. This is a refrain because it is being repeated more than once. That is why it is a refrain. So we have come to the end of this poem. It's a beautiful poem, and I already read the summary. There are some questions. Notes are also given, See, uh, meanings are given. You can go through all these at home. Now, some questions are there. You have to answer in one or two words. Where does the brook come from? It's very easy. If you go to the first part of the poem, you will find that the brook comes from the haunts of coot and hern. The haunts of coot and hern. That means the places mostly visited, I mean, often visited by birds like coot and hern. Okay. Then the second question, whom does the brook want to join at the end of its journey? So is it wants to join the brimming river at the end of its journey, right? What are the flowers that grow near the brook? You must go through the poem and find the names of the flowers. Okay, one is very much there in your mind. That is sweet uh, forget me nots, right? And hazel covers are also there, right? So you can write these answers, very easy answers. Man said the name of the bird that flies above the brook. So we in this class only we talked about what is it? Skimming birds like swallows, right? So swallows fly over the brook. Then the next question is, where was the poet born? So there it's given uh, in the beginning of the poem about the poet. You can write from there. So Alfred Lord Tennyson, he was born on 6th August 1809 and he died on 6th October 1892. And he was born in where? In Lincolnshire. Lincolnshire. Okay, that is in England. Okay, Victorian England is England under the reign of Queen Victoria. That is 19th century. When we talk about Queen Victoria, we are often uh, reminded that the century was 19th century. So these are the answers you can complete in one or two words. And then you have another type of exercise that is answer the questions in a few words. That means you have to write in one or two lines. Okay. What does the brook do as it flows down? What does the brook do? So you can find it here. It moves on and it makes sound. Okay. I chatter over stony ways, eh, in little shops and travels. I babble into adding bays. I babble on the pebbles. These are the things. The brook makes sound. Now see, I bicker down a valley. I flow down. In fact, I fall down. You should say, bicker down with sounds. So sounds are produced when when the brook moves on. Okay, when the brook moves on. Then you see, mention some of the words relating to sounds scattered throughout the poem. So, sounds scattered throughout the poem. These are the examples of onomatopoeia. I told you, onomatopoeia is a figure of speech related to sounds. Okay. Chatter is again related to sound. Bubble, babble, okay. Trouble, sharp notes. Huh? Travel, you must have seen, in music players, different switches where it's written bass, treble, mid. Okay, these are different pitches of sound. So these all are related to sound. That is onomatopoeic words. Okay, so that would be the answer. So I'm just discussing with you. I'm not giving you any answer, but I'm just discussing these things. You can try your hand over these questions. Then you see, mention some words related to movements in the poem. So many words are there. Just in the last, I mean, second last, yes, no, the third last stanza, we found skimming, the swallow skimming. That is also movement. Then slide, that is also movement. then curve out movement. Okay, so these all are words related to movement. You can find it out from the poem itself. Okay, then we have questions like, what does the brook represent? Human life or nature? Obviously, the brook represents nature. Human life is temporary, but the life of brook is permanent. Okay, perennial, permanent. Okay, so this I have just touched over some of the questions given here. You can try your hand. If you don't understand, then of course I will help you out there. So for today, in fact, let us stop here. It's been 25 minutes, so let's stop here. Yeah, this class will be followed by another class. There, I'm going to start a new chapter. Okay, so in that class, I will tell you what we will um, do. Right? Okay, meet you in the next class. Okay, fine.